What's something that you've done while horny and you regret it? Maybe 15-20 years ago. Still living at home with siblings. I thought it would be a great idea to print off a bunch of pictures of close-up vaginas. Pin them all over the wall in the downstairs washroom like some serial killer. And spend the day in my vagina room doing whatever. Evidently I left some in the print queue. And they finally printed later when my sister used the computer. All I remember hearing was her yelling, "Oh god, your vaginas are printing. Your vaginas are printing. Full stop." Never lived that one down. Mom was also upset about the holes in the bathroom wall. A guy I met at a bar weeks before invited me over to watch some movies. I was extremely horny, extremely drunk and extremely bleeding out of my V. He made a move on me. I said I'd love to, but it's the wrong time of the month for it. He just shrugged and said I shouldn't worry. He likes that kind of thing. Cue to him flinging a soaked up tampon out of my V. Splattering blood everywhere in the process. The sex was good. The murder scene after not so much. Definitely wouldn't agree again. Asked my husband to use the whip on me when I was on my knees. He has terrible aim. He literally whipped my PSS while on accident and it was unlike any kind of pain I'd ever felt, and I've given birth 3 times. Edit. I promise I'm not completely without manners. Thanks for all the generous votes and awards. People. My whipped PSSY tips its hat to you. Not my experience. But my fiancé told me about the time when he was first learning about jacking off. He used toothpaste as lube to jack off. His reasoning was that it made your mouth tingle. So why not down there? Lol, he said it was the worst decision of his life. Edit. My fiancé asked me to add that the toothpaste was the 90s Aquafresh with the different colors. Was in China. Rode a train for 2 hours to meet a girl. Didn't have sex. A terrible blowjob. She got tired after a minute then cried cause she missed her ex. You know those silicone ass things they have in sex shops for like $300? When I was in Montreal in my sophomore year of college. I tried to buy one. My debit card got declined. So I didn't buy it. I got a call from my dad that evening saying someone in Montreal must have stole it from me. And I had to do the talk of shame explaining that I really didn't do that. My dude. I'd have agreed and cancelled my card. NGL. Me and my friend were supposed to take a visiting foreign professor for drinks. After a couple of beers the guy told us that he wanted to see some women. We took him to a softcore strip club. After the first beer the guy said that he wanted something more extreme. Prostitution is legal in my country and we took the guy to probably the largest bar with sex workers of our city. It was a bizarre place and after a few minutes our reputable visiting academic sealed the deal with the lady. The guy went with the lady to her room and came back after about 15 minutes. Suddenly the guy said that he was tired and wanted to head back to his hotel. On the ride back, the guy started weeping and telling us about his family and giving us advice about why we should love and respect our partners. I had never seen so much post-nut regret in my life. Sad guy. A football game was on. And had gotten a better TV. Mentioned that to an ex. And offered to buy dinner from a place she liked. She ate the food like she hadn't eaten in 3 days and gotten food all over her face. Claims the food was that good. She goes to bathroom to wash and comes out naked. She spreads out on the floor and says to me, I'm 5 feet away. And the smell hits me. I say let me go to the bathroom first. Not me. But a friend. He drove to another city to lose his virginity. He was up all night with the girl. So he fell asleep on the ride home. Totaled his car. He told his parents he was staying at my house overnight. So it was awkward conversation when he had to call his parents to explain why he totaled his car about 100 miles from home. Edit. He actually did get laid. He said it wasn't worth it. Stupidly traded nudes with a guy I met online. He kept trying to get me to meet up for sex and I refused. One day he told me he found me on Facebook and if I didn't meet up with him he would send all my nudes to everyone on my Facebook friends list. So me young and terrified I meet up with him for sex. He lets me delete all the photos of me from his phone. After I leave I get a text from his wife saying she found my number on his phone and wanted to know if we had had sex. I told her the story and that I literally just left and of course had no idea he was married and that he blackmailed me. She apologized for what he had done saying it's not the first girl he's done it to. Still feel dirty and a shitty ton of guilt after that years later. A stripper let me jack off in front of her once. That and another time I ducked a hamburger. Smash burger. Using the twin percussion handheld back massager on my DCK. NGL it felt really ducking good. But it left a lingering tender feeling that had me walking funny for a bit. In my early teen years, I accidentally made my clit burn using Vicks VapoRub that was supposed to give it a tingling sensation. I watched way too much BDSM and got ideas. I was in immense pain and was lying spread out under cold water to try and make it stop. And I couldn't tell my extremely religious parents or they would have freaked out. When I was about 12-13, I had just learned about sex. One day I was super horny and was playing with my dad's back massager. I quickly realized that it felt really good to press it on my DCK. I took it into my bedroom and went to town. My mom was walking by and heard the noise so she just let herself in. Needless to say things were weird after that for a bit. And she hid the massager. $10 says it was your mom's sex toy. I once got a little too enthusiastic with an eggplant emoji shaped vibrator. And nearly got it stuck inside my backdoor cavity. I really didn't want to explain to anyone why I needed to go to a hospital. So I actually managed to get it out myself. But only because I already knew that if I panicked I'd make things worse. Don't worry. I would have gone to the ER if it went any further than my fingers could reach. Here's a bit of advice for all. If you put anything up your butt, please buy it from a sex store that has instructions and ways to prevent having something get stuck. Look up safe ways to enjoy having things up your butt because you could really hurt yourself. You could avoid a very embarrassing and expensive trip to hospital. Edit. Thank you all for the awards. I also love all the fun rhymes everyone has for the LDO butt plug and LB safety. They are very fun. Remember kids. Protection is priority. I don't care who you sleep with, just wear a condom. Flared base. It's super important. No one wants to explain to a doctor why their lower intestine is vibrating. Ha. Ruined a jar of peanut butter. I did the same with a jar of strawberry jelly. We should get together and make a sandwich after. Surely there's a bread guy in this thread somewhere. Not sure if this counts but was about to do it with a guy and discovered we had no condoms. Decided to drive across town to his place. Since he had some. Got in a minor, not our fault, car accident on the way there. Ended up at the cop station to report it instead of banging. Her name was Annie. And she stalked me for 2 years after that. This Annie doesn't seem much okay to me. Using shampoo to jerk off. Worst PSS pain ever. Just use conditioner. So much better. Edit. Funny thing is I don't jerk off anymore. I have absolutely nothing against people who do. I just personally don't. For this comment to get all these upvotes it's been hilarious. So, thanks for the upvotes guys. You're appreciated. Ducked my landlord. He lived in the same building on the floor below me with his ex-fiancée. It was actually pretty fun until he started monitoring when I was home and knocking on my door when he knew I was home alone. Had to put an end to that real quick. My only regret is not getting a discount on rent. When I was a stupid teen, I put an ice cube in my vagina. My reasoning was that if hot water felt nice, maybe something extremely cold would. It did not feel nice. It was horrible. And I couldn't remove it. 3 minutes of agony. Tried to suck my own DCK while taking a bath while with hips up. Surprise surprise, tubs are slippery and I ended up with my neck caught under my arm as I did a back roll and landed on my side. Involuntarily gasped in pain and began to choke on water. Almost drowned in my own ducking bathtub. My neck also hurt like hell for a week. Edit. No Jesus duck. Why didn't I post this on a throwaway? Thanks for the awards. Gonna drown my sorrows in karma. I was 16 or 17. Girlfriend wanted to try some anal for both of our first times. When my parents went to sleep. Okay. Cool. Of course. We didn't have any lube. We improvised and thought lotion would suffice. Turns out we were wrong and her asshole burned for a week. Also, shitty everywhere on my DCK. Perhaps the two have nothing to do with one another. But I was traumatized all the same. Def tried it again with the right products and edit. Well, it's too cool get off work and see that my most upvoted comment ever is an anecdote about failed teenagers ducking. Never change Reddit. I love you. Oh my god. Me remembering ducking my ex in the ass at the drive-in in my mom's car. My lactose intolerant ex. I didn't want to remember this. Was at bar, ran into the hot girl from high school. She was still hot. We hit it off, had fun for the night, gave her a ride home. I was super horny and thought this was gonna be amazing. She did not invite me inside, so I just went home sad but still horny. So proceeded to pull on the old cum dispenser. Had a great time, felt way better. As I was cleaning up, she calls me and wants me to come over because she is lonely. I think, hey, I might still have some spunk left in my junk. I head over, we start getting frisky and I cannot make the soldiers stand to attention. She crying thinking it's her fault. I tell her what happened and we try again, still can't get it to wake up. Between the alcohol and my balls empty, he was just a limp noodle. She asked me to leave and felt like a pile of shitty. Never did hear from her again. Late to the game. And this will get buried, but I knocked up my ex-wife 1 month after our divorce was final. Drove 1,200 miles. Friend passed away due to a trucking accident. Went on Tinder due to desired needs after a divorce. Took a chick's virginity and later found out she was the friend's sister visiting for the few weeks till they figured out the funeral. Never told anyone about this. This happened when I was like 19. Just got broken up with. Was working late and the IT guy who I had a slight crush on was at my desk just shooting the shit with me. I told him about my recent breakup. He called my ex an idiot. Complimented me. Made me feel great, and next thing I know he's behind me railing me out on the desk. He had a long-term girlfriend, so I felt terrible afterwards and we were really awkward around each other after that. I quit about 2 months later and he moved to a different office because his GF didn't like that he worked around mainly women. She was right to be worried. Not my story, but my old bandmates. So here we have a horny teenager. He was maybe 16 at the time and he just came out as gay this year. He had been experimenting and we were bros, so he would always overshare these experiences. Well, one day he tells me he had made a huge mistake. He really wanted to know what something bigger than his fingers felt like. And he had heard of people using cucumbers as dildos. That said, he only had pickles at home. He did not, however, account for the vinegar and spices. I don't know the pain he felt. But I do know he regretted it immediately. Edit. This is the most upvoted thing I've ever had on Reddit. For what it's worth, he played bass. Thanks guys. Asked her escort to come over to my house at 2 AM instead of jerking off like Yano for free. Well, she and 3 other guys ended up kicking in my door and robbing me and my house. 0/10 never again. Edit. Holy shit, thank you for the awards. This is my most popular comment by far. I appreciate you all. Ducked a couch when I was like 13. I was at a sleepover at my mom's boss's house. I was friends with her kids, and it was like 2 AM and my DCK was saying it's go time. I heard Shane Dawson or some other YouTuber at the time say they ducked a couch, so I thought I'd give it a go. I cut my DCK on the cushion zipper and I think my couch ducking days are over. Edit. Thanks for my first award. I was edging for 3 hours. Had the idea that tying my DCK with a shoelace would hold everything together for at least another hour. It held on for 2 and nutted so hard I felt some pain on my abdomen and legs. Took me an extra hour to sleep and the next day my whole body was fatigued. Thought I twisted my testicle or some shit. I recovered after around 48 hours. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Also for context. I live alone and life got stuck in limbo when the pandemic ramped up. I edged from 8 PM to sometime past 1 AM. I had no regard for health. Which explains my lack of hydration. So no, it wasn't drugs. I was just an idiot. I probably still am. No. It was never a good idea in the first place. That was sort of the point. Yes, it was the best nut of my life. I loved how scientific the ending was. Ah yes. Her name was Autumn. One faked pregnancy later and I still don't date girls named after seasons. Edit. Can't believe this is the comments to blow up. Advice. Don't stick your DCK in crazy. Boys. Edit 2. Added the comma. Hooked up with a co-worker who looked like Mr. Bean. She was a girl. Did you flick the bean? Sting my ex 5 out of 7 nights a week all sophomore year of high school. Never went to bed before 4 AM and had school at 7:50 AM. He also treated me quite horribly and once was all said and done he would return back to being an asshole towards me and pretending I didn't exist until of course I would get a Snapchat at 1 AM. However, I did it mostly because I enjoyed the small time where he was nice to me even if I knew it wasn't genuine nor permanent. But the times I was horny was when more regretful actions happened. He was my first serious boyfriend and who I did everything with for the first time, therefore it was hard for sure. I want to give my teenage self a hug. She deserved better than that. Got jizz in my ear. Ended up with an ear infection. Try explaining to a doctor what the foreign liquid is in your ear when you're 15. Hey guys, thank you for the awards and upvotes. And that is how you get hearing aids. Almost got a bar of soap stuck in my booty hole. Edit. Wow, thanks for the awards guys. I can't believe my first comments to blow up is about the time I became a human soap dispenser. So I was ducking my GF and in the heat of the moment she said put something in my ass. I took a small silicone butt plug. The base wasn't flared enough and it was too malleable, and I put it in a little too aggressively and it popped right into her ass. The whole thing. I was in ooga booga mode and didn't think clearly, so I finished before I told her what had happened. We had to Google how to remove it and Google said to sit on the toilet. Cough hard and try to push like you're taking a shitty. After about 20 minutes panicking and her cussing me out, it finally popped out of her. Needless to say, she still roasts me about it and we bought better butt plugs. Edit. Broke my frenulum. Asked my wife if she was interested in us getting a butt plug. She gave me a confused look and said if you're into it. Sure. And then after purchasing realized that we both had different ideas on who it was for. Edit. Whoa. I've never had a post get this much attention. So. This is one of the most mortifying things to ever happen to me. To anyone who didn't see my reply. I was intending the butt plug to be for her. Because we'd done some light butt play before. But when I asked about it, she thought I wanted to use it. It's buried in a closet somewhere. Still in its packaging. To this day I'm still too embarrassed to bring it up. And needless to say, she's not very interested in a butt plug. The worst part is, I picked out like a medium size and thinking back, she was like, oh. Okay. Go big or go home I guess. Babe. Thanks for the awards y'all. We both had different ideas on who it was for. So did you get a second one or just share? Pulls out the little black book. Are we doing this chronologically or alphabetically? Sex with my ex. The same day I moved out. We had broken up earlier. But it took a couple of months before I managed to find a place to move all my stuff. Afterwards, I just laid there and hugged her hard. Didn't want to let go. Just laid there in a cuddly mess for half an hour. Covered in sweat and other bodily fluids. But most of all, tears. I don't know why the duck I did that to myself. It was supposed to make us both feel better and relieve stress. But it was just torture. I should have just left much earlier. Preferably when she wasn't at home. The one and only time I invited a guy over for a Tinder hookup. Mostly because I gave him my address. The SX turned out to be a non-starter too. Turns out my vagina is really tight and I have a small case of vaginismus. Edit. I can't believe how much this blew up. It's wonderful to see people share their stories and give tips. I always hated going to the gynecologist because the ducking hurt. A few days after the Tinder hookup, I went to a clinic and flat out told the woman checking me out something was wrong. When she told me that something was wrong. My vagina was too tight. I cried for 10 straight minutes just out of pure relief and validation. It wasn't me. It was my vagina. If SX truly hurts, or you just suspect something is wrong, go see a doctor. Ask about it. You know your body better than anyone. Enthusiastically went home with a guy who said he had a dog. He had two. Found out from a friend the next time he had just gotten out of jail for homicide. I don't understand the relevance of the dog. My 20s. The whole damn decade. Some of the PRN I look at. Good God. Immediately when it's over I'm like, get that devil shitty out of my face. Some of the shitty I've done it to is just, oh my god. Nothing illegal to look at. Just really ducking weird. I regret Amy. It's been 8+ years and she still stalks me. I live in a different place now. I'm married. With a child. She hasn't tried approaching my wife or son. But I see her in public. Staring at me. Nowadays I just kind of ignore her. I conceal carry. So I'm not worried. It's just weird. And the cops won't do anything till she does something illegal. Amy. If you're reading this, go duck yourself. You were the reason we broke up in the first place. Cheating on me with my best friend in my bed. Stop stalking me. I sat on a glass jar. IDK. Anytime I go on a PRN binge and have post-nut clarity on some bizarre shit. Edit. When you go online drunk. Then you wake up the next day to have seen it blow up. Had sex with my Tinder date in his office. It was our first date and we walked around the city for a little bit. But it was really cold outside. He then told me that his office was right around the corner and we could go there for a cup of tea. Yeah well. I hadn't had sex in like 6 months and when he made a move I just couldn't resist. Woke up the next morning just thinking WTF did I do? Edit. After reading most of your comments I realized that what I did was no reason to be ashamed and that I shouldn't feel guilty for enjoying sex because of some weird double standard shit or internalized SLT shame. Thank you all so much for your comments. They made me feel confident in myself and my sexuality.